Hi everyone, it's Miss Christina. Pardon my messy appearance and background here, but I'm here to show you how to make a really cool art project by melting some crayons. So this is something you want to do maybe with a grown-up. It's a really fun activity for your whole family, and you want to be extra careful because we're going to have to use some tools that have heat. So all you need for this would be a hot glue gun. You'll need a hair dryer, and then you'll need a canvas and some crayons. So I already started gluing my crayons onto here just so you didn't have to watch me do all of that. This is what the final product looks like. So it looks pretty cool, kind of a funky, colorful piece of art that you can put in your room. And you can sort of customize it however you want. So you can pick what color crayons you want to use. I would say for a kind of standard size canvas, you'll need about between 25 and 30 crayons. So you want to pick which colors you want to use and then what order you want them to be. Maybe you want to do a gradient of color, or maybe you just want to slap them on in any order and see what happens. That's kind of exciting too. So I started gluing mine down like this. You want the sharp end that you draw with to be pointing down, and you want to put it at the top of your canvas just like this. Okay, so all you need to do is lay down a little bit of glue either on the crayon or on the canvas, and then you just place your crayon right next to the one you just glued down. You want them to be pretty close together. That's going to help you get color all the way across the board. If you space your crayons out too far, you're going to have white spaces in between the colors. But if they're close together, then you get that sort of effect. You also want to be careful what colors you're putting next to each other because they can combine to make a different color that might not be what you want. So if you put I don't know, red, yellow, and green together, you might end up with kind of a brown shade, which might be what you want, might not. So just think about how colors work together when you're putting yours down here. I am just kind of throwing these on here to see how they look. So I'm going to turn my camera down a little bit. Okay, and then you can watch me put down the rest of my crayons. And not really sure how I want to put them down here. I didn't plan this out because I wanted to do an experiment and see what happens. So let's go with this color. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. Be very, very careful with your fingers because hot glue is hot and you can burn yourself. So don't put your fingers anywhere near that hot glue. Just kind of push it down so it sticks. Then I'm gonna go, let's try this color. And again, you want the flat end at the top and the pointy end of your crayon facing down, facing the white length of the canvas. I got a lot of blues in this one. This might look kind of cool. So I'm almost done. Got, whoop, drop my crayon. Got a few left to do on here, and then I can show you the next part, which is the fun part. But I kind of like this too. It's sort of relaxing. You get to be creative. You get to see what colors look good next to each other. And let's do another. This one. So if you don't have a hot glue gun, you can also make this work with regular glue. But you will want to let it dry overnight before you try to finish your project. So it doesn't have to be hot glue. If it's not, you just have to be a little bit more patient and wait for it to be ready. So give that a try if you don't have a hot glue gun. And the hair dryer is essential though. I can't think of anything that you can use instead of a hair dryer, but you should have one. And it doesn't have to be a super fancy or expensive one. Just any old hair dryer is fine, because we want something that has some heat and air blowing out of it so we can direct the flow of our melting wax. So I got a couple more and then I'm ready to rock. So do that and one more. Okay, so that is what mine looks like. A little haphazard, but I'm very curious what the colors will do together. So now that they're all glued down, we are ready to use our hairdryer to melt these crayons. So as you can see, I have a tablecloth draped over this bench here. You're going to want something like a bench or a chair to work on, but you want to cover it with something that you don't mind getting dirty. So a tablecloth, some newspapers, anything like that will work just fine, because once you start melting the crayons and when you hit it with air from the hair dryer, the wax kind of flings around a little bit. It can be a little hard to control, so you want to make sure that your surface is protected. But you want it to be something like this because it'll allow you to put your canvas down, but also to be leaning against something, because we're going to direct our heat at it to get the crayons to melt, and then gravity is going to do some of the work for us, and the wax is going to drip down like this. So if you were to just lay it flat on a table, you're not going to have the same effect. So you do want it to be standing up, and you want the crayons to be on top. So I'm going to show you first the technique that I used to get my art project done, and then I will use my hairdryer, but I will have to turn the sound off for that because it's loud. So I would recommend that you use a hairdryer that does not have an attachment. Sometimes there will be a diffuser on the end of it that you can take off. It's, a removable piece. You don't want that to be on here because that, as the name implies, diffuses the air and the heat, so it makes the air coming out of it spread out more like that. And we want more of a direct blast because it's easier to control. So for this project, you don't want a diffuser or anything like that. And you want to probably use the highest setting on your hairdryer because that heat is what is going to melt the crayons. And another thing is you want to go pretty close to them. So you don't want your hairdryer all the way out here. You're going to be sitting there forever trying to melt those crayons. So you want to go up pretty close. Not touching, because then you'll end up with wax on your hairdryer, but about that far away. Okay, and I would also recommend starting in the middle. Kind of see what happens. It's easier to sort of keep an eye on it. So if you start straight across in the middle and melt it, you'll see when it starts to drip off the end. Then you can tilt your hairdryer like this to help push the wax down. So it can make some cool little patterns, like little rivulets. And then you sort of branch out and you go off to the sides and you melt that part and you push it down. And you can keep going over it and getting it to the design that you like. Maybe you want to try to cover the whole canvas with wax. That would be really cool. Mine, I did not do that. I just did a little bit because I liked having some of that white space in the background. So it's really however you want it to look. So I'm going to turn the volume off for a few minutes so I can show you my project getting started. And then I will leave you from there to make your own. So let me plug this in. Okay. Now you want to be very safe at all times. So again, make sure you have a grown-up help you. Or if you're a grown-up, then you're fine by yourself. And make sure your surface is protected. Like I said, a tablecloth like this works great for that. Okay, so I'm going to pull my camera in a little bit so you can see it up close, and I'm gonna start melting some of this wax. So, I'm gonna move in, go down. Okay. All right, you ready? All right, so that's how it's looking so far, and you can just keep going. So I didn't get too far off to the side, but you can see it started to melt. So it doesn't take too long for it to heat up and start melting. So that's what mine looks like so far. I'm gonna keep going. I hope you give it a shot, and please, if you make one, send us a picture so we can see. I would love to see how it turned out. This is such a fun thing to do, and again, I just want everyone to be safe. And also, we have a few of these kits available. So if you stop by the library and ask for one at the children's desk, they're first come, first serve. Whatever we have left, we'd be happy to give you a kit so you can try it at home. So thank you so much for watching, and have fun with your art project.